for the victory lap though. Whoa, they ain't never seen nothing like this before. Lit the room when I came through the front door. Ask me if I should overcome, what for? Train in the trees, please walk my sycamore. Touch burning sands, crosslands, and shore seasons in the year, yeah. Ain't no channel for champions and chain no fear. Yeah, the champ is here, switch gears.
Welcome back to the Clyde FC podcast.
Sweat and tears and my goal so near. I see my victory so clear. I see my victory so clear.
Hello and welcome back to a very long overdue Clyde FC podcast. I am delighted to be back and hopefully we are going to be bigger, better than ever. Joining me to look ahead to another Cinch League One campaign and Premier Sports Cup campaign is a man that, to my knowledge, has not received any resignation request letters so far this week, unlike some others, is Mr. John Boyce. Boycey, how are you doing, sir?
Aye, very good, Paul. It's good to see that the dad jokes are back from yourself as well. We talk about being back and being bigger than ever. What about that production value at the start? We are going places.
Yeah, I mean, we'll move swiftly on because I don't want to hurt your feelings. As you said, we've got big plans. We've been working on a lot and we appreciate that we have been away for some time. So as always, this show is about input from yourselves. Get your comments in and more importantly, get your questions into our first guest of the season, which is none other than Clyde's number 10, Ross Cunningham. So we'll be getting Ross in hopefully in around half an hour's time once we have covered off what has been a very, very busy few months for the club, Boycey. Now, where do we start?
There's plenty.
There really is. And I think probably the first thing to cover off would be Clyde are on the move again, Boycey.
Yep. I think it's highly publicised at the end of last season that our tenure at Broadwood was done. Understand that, the whole fan base, they'll have mixed feelings on it. I think there was a few emotional people on that final day, not just for the scoreline of Airdrie, but the last time being there, I was down with my dad, who took me to my first game at Broadwood, 12, 13 years ago, and it was a sad day, but a special day because we move on to our well-publicised new chapter at Hamilton, where I think we can really make a good go of it until we find somewhere of our own, which, what a thought that is, Paul.
Yeah, and I think the big message seems to be that this is just a new chapter, albeit, it's going to be temporary, but it's with view to Clyde having our own destiny in our own hands, which the club hasn't been able to say for a long time. Now, that will obviously come with its benefits. The next few years, the fans forum that was held a couple of weeks back now at least, the club were obviously very, very open. The chairman and the rest of the board members there to say that it's going to have its difficulties, that there's no two ways about that. However, the longer term benefits are far going to outweigh any kind of short term issue or kind of stress on the club. But it's all change, and it always is at Clyde, isn't it? Thanks guys for getting involved in the comments already. It's great to see that you are happy to see these faces, and it's great to see you guys back. We believe there is a signing.
There's a very teasing photo on the official website just now, which I'm glancing, or the official Twitter, sorry, that I'm glancing over at. Just a lone scarf in the middle of Broadwood turf. And they've timed it for the middle of the podcast, so you'll get an exclusive here if you're...
if you're not on the Twitter account.
Not on the Twitter account, but we will announce the signing as soon as it's made.
Yeah, so Ross, we've got absolutely no idea. We had been doing all of our research on all the new boys, including some of the signings that were made and announced yesterday, which we will come to in due course. So, fingers crossed, we'll get that announcement whilst we are still on air.
Yeah. For the folks that are in the comments as well, who would you like to see? Obviously, we'll go into who we've signed, and there's been a lot of them. We've been running about mad trying to figure out where they're all going to play, etc. But what positions from where we've got just now in the squad would you guys like to see? Strengthen at centre back, strengthen on the wing, more forwards. What do you guys think? Get in touch in the comments.
There's some fair amount of names in the comments already. Well, we just move on to transfer activity. So I think it's probably the one thing that the fans have been talking about most over the past 4, maybe 5 weeks. Boise, now I know you'll have a wee dossier on players. Have you kicked off the new season with your own special files of the players that have signed?
Yeah, I mean, there's been that many, so we're not really going to go massively into depth on where they began their careers as 8-year-old footballers. But
we're getting out of Phil Boise, so
yeah, no, we'll be able to give a wee insight. So first of all, I just wanted to speak about how at the forum a couple of months ago, Danny Lennon did say that he was going to change his tactics on recruitment. He did want more strength and depth, which I think any of us would agree with. You know, we maybe fielded a strongish starting 11 for some games last season, but there maybe wasn't that many options coming off the bench. And the signings so far, Paul, I feel like we've maybe got that. One fantastic signing today. It's not really a new signing, it's a return. Barry Cudahy, a man whose name's not really cropped up over the summer, but he's turned up today, and well, we know what we get with Barry's first name in the team sheet. An absolute boost to this squad, no doubt about it. And my question to you is his new contract photo has him wearing the armband. Is that maybe a nod to who our captain's going to be?
Time will tell, I suppose. I would say that looking at a lot of the signings, and this is just a personal view, we've signed quite a few players who could easily lay claim to captaincy. I think Danny made a point last night post the Peter Grant announcement, mentioning that Peter Grant has been a captain at numerous sides and is a leader on the park. So maybe Danny's not just wanting one person to have that responsibility. He's looking for leaders across the park. And for me, that can only be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the captain role is obviously a role within any football club. But as you say, if you've got 11 players with captain assets, you know, leadership assets, communication, taking the game by the scruff of the neck when we need to, then that can only benefit. And I think you were alluding to Peter Grant there. But arguably one of the best signings we've made in a good few years. He's been absolutely superb for Queen's Park over the last couple of seasons. Queen's Park fans saying that they would have had him in the Championship playing with them, which I think says everything we need to know about Peter Grant. Obviously, he's Ray's brother as well, so that kind of connection comes in.
Yep.
He's done it at the biggest stage as well, with Falkirk, scored in the Scottish Cup final a good few years ago. The interesting thing about Peter, though, is he's making that drop to part-time. And he has had a lot of injuries, so maybe this will suit him very well to manage those injuries, and we'll maybe see him play some of his best games and longest seasons in a Clyde shirt.
Yep. So you mentioned versatility. We'll look at another player who, certainly in his last term at the club, became far more kind of versatile, certainly dropped back from his more kind of attacking role, in Ross Lyon. What do you think? I read a few kind of Stennismuir kind of fans on online forums discussing Ross, and said that Clyde will be getting a better player than when he left us the first time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Ross Lyon's still pretty young, still in his early 20s. Obviously came through a good youth setup. And yeah, I think, I mean, I was lucky enough to go along to the Wickham game just to have a look at some of the streaming potentials. And he looked very good. He still has his pace. He looks to have a better touch than when he was with us the first time. I mean, he nutmegged a boy 3 times in the space of 10 minutes. So that's that's what I'm going to go off of, and I'm going to assume that he's going to do that to every League One left back. But no, I think he'll be good. And again, if he's maybe not a starter, he'll certainly be a great option to come off the bench because he's got that energy and pace, and he is capable of those moments of skill. So yeah, another good one for me.
So we'll work our way along the back line. We retained both goalkeepers from last year, Neil Parry and Joshua Bradley-Hurst. I think we're all very, very happy with that. Going across to the left-hand side, we've signed Andy Rodden, who was with East Stirlingshire last year. I believe he was in the team of the year for the Lowland League. I'm not going to lie, I haven't seen Andy play, but I'm hearing a lot of good things about him, Boise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A few of my friends go to a lot of the West of Scotland games and Lowland League games, and he was absolutely rightly in that team of the season after good evening Scoops, and yeah, he absolutely deserved that call up to that team of the season. Rangers and Partick Thistle youth player. He left for Hill last year to play with the aforementioned East Stirling, as you say, but that's kind of got a little ring to it for most of our signings this season that look to come off the bench and maybe impact. They have started at a good youth level, and they've maybe, as a lot of Scottish players, young players find, they've just not made that cut, unfortunately, for whatever reason, and they find themselves going down to these leagues. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you get the experience of playing with, the older lads, the men, as it were.
Yeah.
And you get good experience of that. Now, I'm not adverse to a player playing in the Lowland League for a year or 2 years if they're still young and they've got that technical ability. And after seeing him in one of the pre-season games, he's got a fantastic first touch. He looks strong. He looks physically big, and he's got a bit of pace about him. And if there's one man that can coach that, it's Danny Lennon, and obviously Alan Moore as well. So, yep, very excited about Andy Rodden. Quite an exciting prospect, I feel.
Yeah, and it's probably, I think, something maybe you slightly touched upon or were edging towards. There's definitely been a switch in the kind of makeup of the squad, I think, this year. Last year, we were filled with experience. We certainly weren't shy of experience in every department on the pitch. Looking maybe to get a bit more youth involved this year. Although saying that, the next on my list is Stephen Pico, experienced 35-year-old centre-half. I believe at the moment in line to make his debut tomorrow in what has been dubbed the L Class Pico, as he looks to take on his team that he played for when last in Scotland. Do you remember much about Stephen?
I remember the name from Football Manager saves where he'd done an absolute turn. Yeah, I remember when Stephen signed for us it was one of the first signings, and Hibs fans were going to buy season tickets for Clyde. So he's obviously a cult hero there. He played between 2008, 2011, I believe. So a fair while ago, but looking at him, he's looked after himself. He's a big unit. And most recently played in the Lithuanian top tier. Now, I'm not going to pretend I know much about that league, but it's a top tier in Europe, and that's how I'm going to bill it. So that's a good signing. And yeah, Danny was singing his praises, saying he's very technical as well at the back. So I feel, even though if we're going to, think that Fico and Peter Grant will be the centre-backs pairing for the season, it's maybe not the quickest, but they've certainly got the experience and positional knowledge to, do a job. For me, I'd maybe like somebody else to come in with a wee bit of pace in case we could change it up.
Well, I might just need to stop you there, Boise, because
opinion.
the new signing has actually now been announced on the website. And I can see the comments are firing in. It's not Brian McQueen, as one of the comments is. It's Brian Mclean that has signed the former Motherwell centre-half. So certainly another player with bags of experience. I believe even international caps for Northern Ireland. I'll need to frantically Google that. Unfortunately, we've been blindsided a wee bit by this one. Just going to quickly read out just what Danny's said on the signing. It's just saying, we are delighted to have someone of Brian's quality in the centre of our defence. It's such a key position in the team, and it's an area we have struggled with in our time in League One. His experience will be vital to the team, as well as his character and leadership. There's that leadership, captaincy quality. Again, we've had to be patient with some of our signings this pre-season due to our signing targets being pursued by other clubs. We are delighted to build a team around Brian and look forward to the season ahead. So, for our first time in a Clyde podcast, we can get some live transfer activity feedback. John, what do you make of that signing?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's certainly experience, isn't it? I believe he was most recently with Morton, and he played pretty much a full season in the Championship last year, from what I can remember. I need to check, but yeah, looks like a solid signing, and interesting to see that Danny has said that he would build the team around him. So clearly, he feels that he is a key stone in that backline.
Yeah,
and Stuart Payton. Good evening, Stuart. Obviously agrees. Danny's done well with these signings. And you kind of alluded to it as well, with what Danny was saying. Said we've had to be patient. And I think the fans, we've done well to be patient as well, because how many signings is this now? Like in the last few days, 26? Like something like that.
So many drafts of the notes that went through in the last
20. But looking at other clubs as well, just to touch on it, I've seen a lot about Peterhead, Airdrie, even, like your Falkirks as well. They've had to kind of sit and be patient to get these players in. I believe Airdrie had listed 9 trialists in one of their friendlies. So it's a full league thing just now, just by having to wait for players to become available. And again, it's that full-time, part-time gap that we're seeing now. It's players have got good jobs and they're maybe just waiting to see what the right deal for them is. And unfortunately, that means for clubs, they can't just dive in and sign them and have a full pre-season, because obviously it's these guys' livelihoods. So they've got to wait and see what's best for them. But I genuinely feel this is one of our best transfer windows in a long time, because all of the players that we've got, I feel, are very close to being there or thereabouts for improvements on last season in positions. And the pedigree's there from, where they've played before and whatever. So that's a very, very good signing. Brian, I was about to say McQueen there. Brian Mclean.
Brian Mclean. Yep, you've fallen for the trap. Say it in the comments, Boise. One thing that I'm really enjoying is actually the real positive feel just now around the fan base with each additional signing at the moment. We've really got to kind of ride on this and really build up the momentum ahead of the new season. We'll get Ross Cunningham on shortly, and he can give us perhaps some of the inside scope as to how the squad are settling in. Obviously, there's a big turnaround. I think that takes us up to 12 new players from last season's squad, which is a fairly large turnaround. And even before Brian Mclean's signing, I do believe that we had the biggest turnover squad in all of top flight Scottish football. So in your top 4 leagues. So, and I believe Hibs, or tomorrow's opponents, are second in that. So, not sure how much of a leveler it will be, but we can all but hope. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see just how these new faces are settling in, and hopefully for the benefit going forward. Right, I brought up one comment and I've lost it now. Ryan Kyle. We'll move on to the midfield. Ryan Grant is going to boss it this season. Heard it here first.
Is that another new signing? Ryan Grant?
Ray Grant.
That's a big family, isn't it?
I'm flustered, what can I say?
Raymond
Grant. I don't think there were many that were disappointed to see Ray coming back to the club, Boise.
No, absolutely. He's the season ticket seller, isn't he? He's the face. Linchpin midfielder, and fantastic to see that tomorrow will mark his 100th competitive game for the club. So straight back into an award, and that's what we want to see moving forward, just award after award. But no, I think he's announced Ryan Grant. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
The unknown triplet.
But no, he's obviously one of our key players, and watching him pre-season, he looks to be, if not better than he was when he left, which Danny had kind of mentioned. But he just glides across the surface. What a player.
Yeah, it's the reading of the game. I don't think Ryan, almost done it again, Ray would win many 100-metre sprints. Hope he doesn't mind me saying that. However, his reading of the game is exceptional. Even from a very, very young age, when he came to the club, he was 19, 20. You just see he had it. And he's certainly not going to have lost it.
No.
So, obviously, he went to Alloa. Things... I think he done okay. I'm not too sure, and obviously he was at Stirling most recently. But we know what we get with Ray, and he knows what he gets with Clyde. And I think there's a real good connection between Ray and the fans, Ryan and the fans, as I'm now getting in the comments. I'm delighted that Ray is back, and I think he's just going to be one of the key positions going forward, Boise.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You mentioned his lack of sprint ability, but he's one of these players that if you get the people around him, it's a very tantalising midfield, and a couple of boys that we've brought in can absolutely do that. So one player that I'm very, very excited about, and I waxed lyrical about him in the Glasgow Cup on commentary if anyone was joining in, is Liam Scullion, who joins us from Falthouse. Unfortunately, the friendly didn't happen. I was looking forward to going to that one. It will be rearranged. But yeah, he was very good in the Glasgow Cup games. He's like a little Barry Cudahy in a way, because he just plays down the right. He's very direct. And for the first time this season, Paul, he's an engine.
Is that what?
Right. But no, he's just very good, and I'm very excited for the fan base to kind of watch him, because I don't know if a lot of people tuned into the Glasgow Cup or obviously saw him pre-season, but he's still young, he's hungry, and he's got determination. There's no doubt about that. And another player with plenty of determination and energy, he joins us from Stirling. It's Curtis Roberts. And after 2 years in Stirling, Danny Lennon has said that he's admired him for a few years now before signing him. And I have to admit, I've been a fan as well. He's always been that name that pops up in League Two games, and you think he can make the step up. He's get high levels of energy.
Just the engine. Just
inject into a game. No, I'm going around it. Yeah. In the middle of the park, so that's more competition in the middle. So yeah, we can put either of them around Ray Grant, or Barry Cudahy can play there. And Liam Scullion's as close you would get to a clone of Barry Cudahy. Play them both. That's it.
Well, why not? Ewan Cameron as well was another who impressed in the Glasgow Cup as a trialist. He certainly caught my eye. I think it was in the... I'm not going to lie, I can't remember. Was it against possibly Celtic Colts?
Yeah.
He made his debut. I think he hit the bar with a 30-yard effort. I thought he was quite similar to Liam Scullion in many aspects. Again, I can't say too much because I've not seen an awful lot of him, but what I certainly saw, I like the look of. Yep,
no, absolutely. Similar to a lot of our signings, as we said, started at a good youth level. He was at Partick Thistle. But spent the last season with Gretna. He's only 19, and he has stood out for me in that Wickham game. He had very good movement, and he had very good vision. So he's kind of similar to the good seasons that Mark Lamont had with us. He could cut the defences with passes, and he was trying a few of them and managed to get to Jordan Allen on a few. So I'd like to see that combination happen. But yeah, these young guys, they'll be coming here with a chip on their shoulder, wanting to make their way in the game. And again, who better to lead them in that than Danny and Alan? So, really wish the boys all the best with that, and hopefully they can make their impact wherever they may be, starting or otherwise.
Yep. A motivated, young, talented footballer can still go a long, long way, no matter how many times they may have been knocked down. Just need to mention 2006 to you, 2005, summer of 2005, and then what happened in January 2006. You can fill in the blanks. Yeah. We took a team full of players who had been released, told you're not obviously going to make the grade, and then they went and proved everyone wrong. Yeah. These lads have got the exact same chance to do that, and as you say, under the tutelage of Mr. Danny Lennon.
Yeah. So there is one comment from Ryan about Liam Scullion living up to the legendary status of Pat Scullion. I think he can. That was the little teaser that I had kind of thought yesterday when the brothers had came out.
I'm not quite sure if they are brothers. Right. So there's one question that leads us quite nicely on to the next area where we're looking at the recruitment just ahead of Ross joining us.
Yeah.
Who's starting up top? Boys, say who's going to get the goals? Where are they coming from?
Well, the main signing for me in this area is our new number 9, and it's Jordan Allen. Now, it comes from Airdrie. He's actually a history maker. He's the youngest ever player to play in the British leagues when he debuted at Airdrie, aged 14. From there, he made a move to Wolves, where he spent 4 years down south before returning to Scotland, banging in 15 goals in League 2 for Cowdenbeath. And then he had another couple of stints at Airdrie, but it's a definite coup for the club. He's still only 23, which is mad because he seems to have been about for ages, but obviously
9 years.
The record breaking will have made that happen. But yeah, no, he's a finisher. He scored against us last year as well. Very simply, get him the ball inside the box and he'll hit the target. He's a poacher.
So who's going to get the ball into the box then? We'll fire that straight at you.
This is the thing, Paul. Clyde have been wanting that type of player for a good while now.
Yeah.
Just somebody to be in that 6-yard box and put it away. So I think he'll be a very good addition.
So who's going to be his foils? Who's going to be the guys that are going to create that space? Not just potentially just looking at the new guys. Obviously, we're about to admit one of the other guys who will be pinning our hopes on and doing similar.
Yeah, no, my answer to that would be our guest that's joining us imminently. But the last couple of new signings that we've got, first one joining us from Dumbarton. I feel like I'm just announcing them when I do this. Joining us from Dumbarton after winning their Player of the Year is Connor Duffy. So I said to you last season that I liked the look of him. He absolutely tore us apart in both games at Broadwood that he was playing in. He's quick, technically very good. Ridiculous first touch from what I saw. And he scored 7 in League 1 last year. And he got a goal and 2 assists against Wickham as well. And he only came on for about half an hour. So, not bad. He's a physical presence as well, because he can't be much off 6 foot. I think he's maybe 6 foot, 6'1". So he's fast, he's strong, he's tall, and he can score goals.
Yep.
What more do you want?
I've got nothing for that, Boise. Now, I'm delighted to say that we do have our special guest for the evening now waiting in the wings. Will we just get Ross on? I'll give him his big intro.
Absolutely.
Right, so our guest tonight is indeed Ross Cunningham, as we've mentioned about 9 times already. Ross signed for the club initially on loan in 2020 from Hamilton Accies. He went on then to sign for the club the following summer and has been with the Bully Wee since. He's played a total of 57 times so far for Clyde and scored, well, some stunning goals, just like this one.
Just now, and the bullet penetrated him somehow.
I think I know what I was doing, eh? Welcome to the show, Ross.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Welcome, Ross.
Thank you very much for joining us. 2 seconds. Apologies for this. Yes, Boise did pick the music if someone was asking in the comments. We have to go with what's not copyrighted, guys, so apologies for that. So, Ross, podcast debut, season opener. How are you feeling ahead of the new season?
No, I'm feeling good, obviously. Feeling fit, that's the first and foremost. Obviously, the last season wasn't great, gone by the injuries and stuff, but no, I'm feeling good this season. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that your time at the club has been stop-start, not necessarily just injuries. I think if you look back at your initial signing on loan, was obviously cut short because of COVID, just as you were kind of getting up to speed on things. Then a slightly shorter season thereafter. So last year was your first full normal season at the club. Obviously, towards the end, and obviously the Boxing Day Falkirk match where you did suffer obviously a pretty nasty injury. Everything okay with that now then, Ross, and all kind of healed up?
I think so anyway. I feel strong. Obviously, when I done it the second time, I don't know if I gave it enough time to fully heal, and that's maybe how it broke down again. But no, it's feeling strong and it's feeling fully healed. So
good stuff. And was it a recurrence of the injury the second time as well, that it just hadn't healed? And
it's just the exact same situation. I fell and landed right on it again. I wasn't sure if I'd broke it the second time. I was 50-50 where I'd done it because I could still move it, but it wasn't until the next game day that I knew for sure I'd broke it again.
I'm going to have to pull this comment up. You're getting it for them having handbags in the background, Ross.
This is my girlfriend's dressing room.
They'll pick up on anything in the comments. So
Right.
I'm just looking. We're getting quite a few comments coming in for you. We've got the first question. Put you on the spot. Who do you think is the most exciting signing? Is there anyone he's buzzing to play alongside?
Tough question. I think every signing we've made is pretty exciting. I think every signing we've brought in adds something different and something new to the team. It's a different dynamic. In terms of experience, I'd probably say Big Stephen.
Yep.
I think he's got to be a right good signing for us. He's a leader. He's obviously played at a very high level his full career, so he's somebody I'm looking forward to playing with, and probably Nacho, because the two of us are pretty similar. We like to both play up front, so I'm looking forward to playing with him up front.
Yeah, it's one of these things. We like to do a wee version of our teammates, the old soccer AM thing, but it's quite. I won't throw that at you since you'll be still getting to know quite a lot of the new guys, but they're already, you're kind of seeing who the characters are in the dressing room.
Aye, definitely. I think obviously Ray Grant, he's a character. I knew him from my time on loan. And Curtis Roberts, he's another one. He's a character as well.
Right, let's see. We're getting some more questions. Where do you feel your best position is? This is possibly something that's been discussed quite a lot in the fan base, Ross. Do you see yourself as more up top? Are you wide? Where do you like to play?
My preferred position is up top, through the middle. That's where I grew up playing as a youth player, and then I got to the age of 14, maybe 15, and I got switched to left wing. But I can do a job out wide, but it's not really my game. I don't particularly enjoy playing in a wide area. I would much prefer to be centrally.
It seemed to suit you very well. I was at the Wycombe pre-season game. Probably not a lot of people saw that goal, but I certainly hope it gets released because it was an absolute belter. So obviously playing through the middle, do you feel like this season you'll almost have like a breakout season for Clyde and get your highest goal scoring kind of tally playing through the middle, because you've got some good supporting cast up there as well?
No, definitely, that's my aim. Obviously, every season I want to score as many goals as possible. But if I'm predominantly playing through the middle this season, then I would hope that it's going to be my breakout season.
How did the boys take to Ollie McDonald scoring 5? Was it a case of Gaffer get him signed?
Who's this boy?
To be fair, he's been excellent in training and that. And I didn't know much about him until he came in, but he looked sharp in training. He's brilliant with the ball at his feet. He's tricky, and then obviously he scores 5 in a game, so he's worth having a look at.
Was it 5.5 as well? Was it not?
5 in about half an hour, really.
Aye. Okay. No pressure on him then. Boys, have you got anything just while I quickly scroll the comments?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably going on what you were saying about Big Steve. Big game tomorrow, obviously, at Hibs, Premiership club. Many of the boys played at Easter Road before, and if not, is Stephen kind of prepping you for what's going to happen? Obviously, he's a cult hero there. He'll get a good welcome.
Aye. No, I think a good few of the boys have played there before, but Big Stephen was just saying it is like it's got to be a good atmosphere. It's obviously their manager's first game in charge, so it'll be a good crowd. It will be a good atmosphere, and he said just be ready for it and make sure we're ready to give it a best shot.
Yeah, I mean, Hibs, much like ourselves, are a team that have changed drastically over the summer. We've got no less than 12 now, by my count, new faces in the dressing room. I think they're very close to double figures themselves. That said, they've brought in a fair amount of talent. You've got the guys like Aidan Mcgee signing for them, David Marshall, Scotland's hero to take us to the Euro. So we're up against it tomorrow. I don't think we can polish that any other way. But we won't go into a game, Ross, thinking we're just going there to make up the numbers. We'll have a game plan. Obviously, I'm not expecting you to divulge what Danny has set that to be, but we're going there to really make a game of it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think you can go into any game really thinking that you're just there to make up the numbers. You're going there with a game plan to hope that you can try and win, and you've got to have the belief that we can do that. At the end of the day, it's 90 minutes, 11v11. It's a one-off game in this cup, so we're all looking forward to it, and it'll be a good day for us.
Plus, they've just came back from their training camp in Portugal, so they'll all be sunburnt and tired and not up for it.
Fingers crossed we've got a bit of jet lag in that as well.
Absolutely. They had Portugal, we've got Falthouse, but it's fine.
We never even had Falthouse.
Just for the fans as well. So Hibs, their pre-season so far, they've beat Hartlepool 2-0 and they beat Burton Albion 4-2. So they've got plenty of goals.
Yep.
Will we allude to the last time we played them competitively, Paul? Away?
No, I think we'll just leave that.
We'll not talk about that. However, I do have a positive spin on Clyde Hibs. Our all-time head-to-head against them, we're actually ahead. But that's all I've really got, so we'll move swiftly on from that.
Right, just looking at some more of the comments, Stuart Payton is asking, have you been doing anything different fitness-wise for pre-season?
Well, I think definitely as a team we're looking fitter. I think we've probably done more running this year than we've probably ever done when I've been at the club. And I think it's paying off because the team looks fitter, we look much sharper, we're getting about the pitch a lot better. So, no too different. Every pre-season's pretty similar. You know what to expect by now. But no, the team's looking fit.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions as well on the kind of pre-season. Obviously, we've kind of changed up our approach in the transfer market as well. How does it benefit having boys come in at the start of pre-season rather than just kind of sporadically for a player like yourself as well?
It makes everything easier. I mean, it gives them their time to settle in with the boys, get to know each other a bit better, and the longer you're with them through pre-season, the more you learn each other's games and the easier it is to play with each other. So it's much better having them in early rather than 2 weeks before the season starts and you need to try and learn everything about somebody.
I'll maybe just cut this question into two. Is there a different feel around the changing room this season? The new stadium probably hasn't maybe taken too much of an effect until we get fans in on Wednesday when we play Bonnyrigg. But yeah, is there a different feel to the dressing room with these new guys, or do you think it just kind of is a continuation, really?
I would say it's probably a continuation. I think every season you always set out with the same sort of goals and the same targets, and it's just whether you meet the targets, that's the thing. But no, everybody in the group is looking, we're positive, we're hoping for a great season, and that's what we're working towards.
Perfect. That takes me on to the next question then. What are your aspirations for the season, Ross? I'm not expecting you to commit to bagging 20 goals. However, as the sponsor of your away shirt, the Clyde FC podcast, are looking for you to bang in some goals, especially away from home. Now, have you set yourself a target, or will you keep that private so we don't?
I've not actually really set myself a target, obviously. I want to score as many goals as I possibly can. That's my aim every season. And if we can chip in with a few assists, that's great as well. I've not got a set number in my mind, but hopefully it's more than last year.
I mean, scoring as many goals as you can is a fantastic target, so we'll take that. Ryan Kyle's got a question as well. Are there any teams you're particularly looking forward to facing this season, or is it just each game as it comes? Obviously, remember, East Fife aren't in the league anymore, so you'll not be getting your two doubles.
My dad said the same thing to me. No, I think it's just taking each game as it comes. It's got to be a right competitive league this year. There's some right good teams in it, so it'll be tough, but it's a challenge that we're all looking forward to.
Yeah, I think when you look at it on paper, it could easily be a championship league. When you look at some of the clubs in it, I don't think we can underestimate just how tough a league this is for the current campaign. Boys, you must have a dossier of questions for Ross.
I was just going to go off what you were saying there about the league. Obviously, there's a wealth of full-time teams coming down, but some of them will still maybe be in some sort of a rebuild as well. So it's maybe a good time to have these teams in. Like say your Queen of the Souths and Dunfermline's. It's not easy to come straight back up from the leagues as we've seen. So I think your comment about League One maybe being the new championship. We all know what the championship was like when it first came into fruition. It was the very exciting league. So maybe League One can be that this year. One thing I did want to ask you, Ross, though, was obviously as a fan base, and personally, we're delighted to see you sign a new deal with the club. Can you maybe talk us through why you chose to stay with Clyde this time, and if there was any other interest over the summer that maybe made you stay?
It was a pretty easy decision, to be fair. I really enjoy my time here. Although I've had a few injuries and whatnot, it's still been a great couple of years I've been here. The fact that I get to play most weeks when I'm fit is something that I really enjoy. I've never really had that in my career before. I've always been either a fringe player or in and out of team. So when the gaffer spoke to me, he says, "Look, I know you've been injured. I know it's been tough for you, but I want to have you again." And it was pretty much a no-brainer because I really enjoy my time here, and I look forward to, fingers crossed, a fully fit season.
Just how much of an influence is Danny Lennon been for yourself then, Ross? Your kind of previous managers, you don't need to obviously call them out specifically, but what has Danny brought to you as a player?
Probably a self-belief and confidence. He believes in me. He believes that I'm a right good player, and with his belief, it feeds into me and it gives me the confidence that I'm up. So I'd probably say that, and he's just overall probably the best manager I've played under. I mean, he listens, he takes your points on board, he gives you his points. It's a good relationship we've got.
Next one, this is a favourite for when we get guests on. What's been your highlights playing for Clyde so far? Memorable matches, memorable goals. Obviously, you've highlighted your favourite goal. What made that one in particular your favourite goal, Ross?
I think it's probably just the best goal I've scored. Obviously, the run involved. I run near enough the full length of the pitch and managed to finish at the end. My favourite highlight? That's tough. maybe say when I first came on loan, I think it was maybe my second or third game, we played Falkirk at home. We beat them 3-2.
Yeah.
That was a good match to play, and I really enjoyed that match. It was end to end. It was a bit like a basketball game. But that's probably one of my favourite matches I've played in.
And any game against East Fife as well, obviously where you got your obligatory double against them.
Aye, well, I enjoy the games as well.
Right, I've got more notes here. I'm just trying to find where I was.
Pre-season for us as well, obviously.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Right, I've got that. Boys, fill in the blanks for me here while I check up on questions coming in.
No. So obviously the Premier Sports Cup, it's seen as kind of extra pre-season friendlies for most fans. I'm assuming that we're not just taking it as that for playing. Obviously, we'll have maybe aims to get through the group stage, because we've not really had that much joy in it recently. And obviously Bonnyrigg on Wednesday, and then we've got Morton the week after. You feel that we can do something, maybe get through to the knockout stages? It would be nice.
Yeah, I think you've got to have that aim to get out of the group. Obviously, it's a difficult group. I think every team in it's a decent enough team. Obviously, Hibs and Morton probably been the two standouts, but there's no reason we can't beat either or on a day. So that is definitely an aim, to try and get out of the group and get to the knockout stages. And then you never know.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be the first time. You do see League One teams, Championship teams as well, who do tend to kind of flirt towards the top of the league standings. Even if you just look last season, we went in the space of 15 minutes from top of the group to then bottom. It was almost felt typically Clyde at the time. As frustrating as it was, the match tomorrow, let's look into it in a wee bit more depth then. Boyce, I'll come to you. What do Ross and the boys need to do to get something, in your opinion? And don't just say play better than them, right? It's not as easy as that.
Score more goals than them. No. I think from what Danny's been saying in the fan forums as well, maybe be employing a more kind of sit-back counter-attacking game this season, just with the opposition that we've got in the full-time boys. Not to say that we can't compete with them. We obviously can. I think we've spoke on this show before about the gap between full-time and part-time players really getting smaller because of the just training smarter. And that's something that our sports scientist, who's unfortunately went to pastures new now, was always saying. Is that something you kind of agree with, Ross, that if we just train smarter, there's no reason why a part-time team can't beat full-time teams on a regular basis? I mean, we saw it with Arbroath last year in the Championship.
No, definitely. That was going to be my example. You just look at Arbroath, look what they done in the Championship last season, and that's over the course of a season. So they've managed to compete right to the very last game. It's entirely what you said. It's not about how many days you are training, it's about what you do and the days you do train. So it's completely possible for us to compete with full-time teams 100%.
Was it not something that they only lost 4 games over the 36? There was obviously a fair amount of draws in there, but it was only 4 league defeats in the 36 game window, which is incredible. Whatever level, whatever league you're playing in, that is an incredible record. But to be a part-time team in a predominantly full-time league, as we are going to be this season coming, I should say, we are one of the now smaller population of League One teams who are part-time as opposed to the majority which are full-time, which has probably not been the case in many, many years in the third flight in Scottish football.
No, definitely not. I think it's been predominantly part-time teams. Obviously, you've had the odd full-time team with your Falkirks and Airdrie, still hybrid. Some are full-time, some are no. But this season there's 4 or 5, so near enough half the league is full-time.
Stuart Payton's asking how many times a week are you training? If Danny's watching, you're going to say every day, of course. So what's the kind of training schedule? Is it different pre-season, or is it kind of set in play for pre-season going into the kind of normal season window?
No, pre-season's a wee bit different. So obviously we train on normal Tuesday and Thursdays, but during pre-season we also train. We've been doing 2 days at the weekend for the first, I think it was 3 weeks of pre-season, and then obviously the friendlies kicked in. So it's been 3-4 times a week we've been training.
Is it predominantly kind of fitness work, or is it kind of split fitness, ball work, etc.? Is it just a kind of mixed bag each session?
Nah, it's very much a split, which I think you've got to have, because if you just set out to do fitness work all night, you've got to lose interest. No player in the world likes to do just fitness work. But I think Danny and Murray have found a good combination where we do our fitness work and we do some ball work, and then we do fitness work and ball work, and it keeps everybody fresh and it keeps everybody motivated to keep doing it.
Well, Murray will keep everybody fresh in the training sessions anyway.
That's true.
Certainly motivated, that's for certain.
No, how's the new training set up? Because I know we had kind of moved training facilities. I believe the boys all right with the new areas.
Well, we've been training at Broadwood still for majority of pre-season. We'll still use there, but I think when the games kick in, we'll be changing. Obviously, I think it's East Kilbride will be training that now. So
no.
Everybody's fine with it. It's not too much different travelling, and you just get on with it at the end of the day.
It's a pitch and the same balls after all. It's all the same.
Correct.
It's all the same. Right, I'll ask one question. What do you think we can achieve this season, Ross? I'm not, again, wanting you to nail your colours to the mast and say we're going to run away with the title. If you want to say that, by all means do, because it would be a great soundbite. However, what do you think? What is achievable for Clyde Football Club this season?
I'd probably say the same as every other season. The playoffs has got to be your aim. That's the bare minimum you've got to aim for in any league you're playing in. I don't see any reason why we can't reach the playoffs, but it's a long season and we know what we need to do to be able to reach that. So I'd probably say that would be our aim.
Yeah, I think that's what I would say as well. Like, probably pre-season, a lot of fans would have thought we'd been in a similar position than we were then the last season. But seeing the signings that we've got, seeing yourself come back, Barry come back tonight as well, that's such a boost. I think we've got a really, really good squad, and it's a good League One squad. So I absolutely agree. I think there's no reason why we shouldn't get that fourth. Mentality as well. Quite right in saying you should aim for that, because that's a positive mindset. And if you're aiming for 8th, you'll get 8th. But if you aim for something higher, that's always a good goal to work with.
Yeah, just to clarify, you're talking in promotion playoffs here, Ross, as well. We're not just aiming for 9th.
No, 100% promotion playoffs.
The top
one.
Let's stay clear of the relegation ones.
Aye. I mean, last year it was pretty topsy-turvy at times, where we were maybe 7 points off of 4th, but similar points off of 9th. Obviously, it kind of fell away as the season progressed. Dare I say it, obviously we were missing yourself for points because of the injuries. So it can happen. Anything can happen. Who would have gave, going back 4 or 5 years ago, Montrose? Look at the rise of that football club. Wax lyrical about them many a times. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. And with the right attitude, the right set of players, which I do think we've certainly got here, anything's achievable. Anything's achievable.
Yeah, it's a good group. We've got the gaffer and that I've brought in together. I mean, we've got a good mix of youth and a good mix of experience, so it's looking good.
Also, I think, Boise, you'll hopefully agree with me here, the atmosphere in the Clyde fans just now is very, very positive. And a lot of that has been down to the signings and re-signings that have been made. So hopefully, whatever happens tomorrow, win, lose or draw, that doesn't obviously dissipate. We want to make sure that continues on going into Wednesday night's match against Bonnyrigg and going into the league campaign, because having that connection between the fans and the players is so important. It's been probably a keystone to the success that the club have had in Danny's kind of tenure since he came in 2017. So even just for yourself coming on, Ross, to this show, it builds that rapport. Do do you have a message just before we do a kind of couple of shout outs for the Clyde fans for the coming season?
Just stick with us and keep backing us. Obviously, the more you support us, the better we play. And obviously, the Clyde fans are brilliant, they're passionate, and they're loud. You can hear them every game we play. So it's probably all we ask for is that you keep chanting.
Good 250 coming tomorrow along Easter Road, so it'll be good fun. The one player that I was going to speak about, sorry, Paul. The one player I was going to speak about was Aidan Mcgee, who I didn't actually know had signed for Hibs until tonight. Paul quite rightly reminded me before the show, the last time he played against us was for Celtic on that famous day where we beat them. So get him a wee reminder on the pitch, Ross.
You can also remind him he missed the fresh air shot, I think, at 2-1. I think it was Roy Keane put the ball through him, and the frozen Broadwood divots kicked the ball up right in front of him as it was about to rattle at him with his left foot, and he just hit the deck. So you can remind him of that as well if you want. I can send you the clip.
Great to be back to competitive football tomorrow.
It's
fantastic.
It very much is. Boys, have you got any kind of things to call out pay-per-view, I think, for tomorrow? For those
just a few admin things. So tickets for tomorrow's game still are available on the Hibs website, but the link to that is through the Clyde FC socials. And also, as Clyde is all of our football clubs, you can be part of this new chapter as well and join the journey through the club owner memberships. So they're £40 for adults, and they run from the 1st of July to the 30th of June next year. You can get access to specific meetings and EGMs and everything else. So that's fantastic. Me and Paul will be signed up as well. And shirt sponsorships are still available for several squad members.
Not Ross Cunningham's away.
Not Ross Cunningham's. We have that. We're very proud to have that. So including our new signings, Peter Grant and the returning Barry Cuddihy as well. So get involved with that. It's a great venture in the club. Get a good bit of money out of it as well, which is always welcome. So yeah, that's all the shout outs. And there is a pay-per-view as well for Hibs TV, which can be seen through the Clyde socials as well.
Yeah, just follow the instructions. It can be a wee bit tricky, just I think, to set up an account at first. Just one last thing to call out, season passes as well. Your season tickets for this season are still available, priced at $240 for an adult, $180 for over 65s and young persons, which is an age bracket of 18 to 26. Under 18s are $55, and you also get your replica shirt. And make sure you get Cunningham 10 on the back of that as well, or $45 without. And just for the £5, you can get an under 12 season ticket. So to me, that's a no-brainer. If you've got a kid, come along down to New Douglas Park, cheer on the Bully Wee for the cost of a £5 for your kid to get in. Can't say fairer than that, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And that's it. That's all, folks. We have reached the hour. We're back. Maybe slightly rusty. I've renamed Ray Grant at least 4 times in this show. But we're back, hopefully with a bang. We've got a lot lined up as well, guys. Lots of different types of content, pre-recorded. Hopefully recording something for you on Wednesday ahead of the Bonnyrigg game. We might even do a wee on-the-spot live podcast, so keep tuned to the socials for that. So until next time, guys, come on the Bully Wee.
On the Clyde.